Yeah, getting seriously hot here now. Got everything open, all the doors, the window, partition. Wind's dropping off. Beautiful water. Hot as hell. Starting to sweat now. Really hot. Yeah, it's been a slow, boring, long, tedious, all those things trip. We've still got 3 or 4 days to go. Run out a bit of wind. Sea is nice. Still frittling on the spinnaker. The guys are up front tensioning it. It's stretched a bit. Looking much better. Mooi man. Yeah. Tension the sail onto the swivel at the bottom. Taking all the crinkles out. Late Thanksgiving. It's been long. 22 days on the trot. I basically only got off the boat at St. Helena for a beer the afternoon and been on the boats permanently. Gets seriously long. Anyway, beautiful morning. Sun's up. Sea's beautiful and calm. We've got it all. Got a shoal of skipjack tuna following the boat and eating the flying fish. A lot of flying fish in the area. We're seeing birds now. So we're just over 2 days out of Fernando. Hopefully we're going to get some fish. I'll try and film these guys later. You'll see them popping up every now and then. I don't know if you'll catch them now. They're swimming just ahead of the boat. Flying fish. Look here, the tuna busting there. Behind us now. There's a little tuna jumping there. There's so much life here. We're going to run into a big marlin here shortly. We've got a small rig out. I was just saying now we're going to donate all the line if we get a big one on here. Finally got the guys onto a new system using an extra sheet line onto the clew of the jib. Much easier to control, pulls it out even wider, and we're doing an extra knot downwind now. Just run it straight back to the winch. Perfect. Yeah, so here's an interesting exercise and one we've had a few arguments on about the boat, and the speed downwind and how to approach a jibe downwind to get best performance out of the boat. So quite funny enough, I did a drawing of the angles that you would sail as opposed to going straight downwind, and just to prove the point, and I hadn't looked at the polars on the boat. So basically here's the drawing, and that's your direction downwind, assuming you've got 12 knots of wind, and you sail for 2 hours, so you do 6 knots and 6 knots, which is what you would do downwind, straight downwind. You do about half of wind speed, and then looking at your 135, working out if you did 9 knots, and then obviously 120, 105, and then 90 degrees. And if you look at the polars, I just drew this. So I was saying 9 knots at 135, 10 knots at 120, and then I was saying 12 knots at about 100, 105. So you can see that's basically your polar of the boat there. And if you take dividers and you worked out you sailed for 2 hours, is 9 knots for an hour, and then you did a jibe, you would beat the mark of 12 miles by 1 mile. That was if you were sailing at 135 degrees. If you went at 10 knots at 120 degrees, let's just do that, you would see that you would fall short by almost 2 miles on going straight downwind. And the same applies if you went at 12 knots. At 12 knots going at on 105 degrees, and you did your 90 degree tack, you'd be 4 miles behind. So your angle takes you away from your destination, and even though you're going faster, you can't make up that the distance you lose. And then you haven't taken into account the fact that you've got swell from behind pushing you, so you've got that added momentum, and in this case we've got a current of a knot to 2 knots with us, so there's no way possible that you would beat this boat by jibing left to right, as opposed to going in a straight line with your spinnaker or your code 0 or goose wing. Those calculations I did were based on my experience on Lyra and on sailing these cats. I didn't know what the actual polars were, and then I went the day before yesterday, I went and thought, geez, I know there's a set of polars here. I'm actually just looking for them now. And so I went and got the polars out, and it was so funny to see that I'd actually got it absolutely spot on. There the polars are there, which is exactly what I'd imagined it would be, and that's what it turns out to be. Yeah, so I know there's guys who are going to give me grief about the sailing angles and the jibing. Just to show you the kind of passage we've had, if you look at the sea, you can see we've got basically a beam on sea coming from this way, plus you've got your chop coming from sort of quartering from behind. And what happens is, if you, at the moment we're almost straight downwind, so we're actually riding with the chop, and we've got a slight swell coming across, which is the North Atlantic swell which comes across. So if you go into a 135-degree angle, you can see straight away you're going into the chop and you're riding over the top of the waves, so you can become, the boat becomes a lot more unstable, and you get a lot of banging. And yeah, so what we found, we did do a test on this boat with the main and the code up, and managed to get up to 9 knots, basically crossing chop. And at the 9 knots we only managed to get at 108 degrees. So if you look at the diagram that I posted there, you lose all the way. You've got to take into account the fact that you have to go over the chop, so that slows the boat down. So it's all good on paper that, you know, with your polars you reckon you're going to get 9 knots at 135 degrees, but until you factor in your swell direction and the chop that you're dealing with and your current, that may well be the case on paper, but in the situation that you're in, that doesn't work. And that's exactly what it proved with us, is that we could only get 9 knots at 108 degrees in those conditions, and the boat was pretty uncomfortable. You're starting to fly the boat over the waves and through the chop, and it starts to bang, to get slap on the inside of the hulls because of the angle of the waves hitting the hull. So yeah, all this stuff looks great on paper until you put it into practice. It's way more comfortable turning down sea and using your spinnakers, using your head sails that you've got, and maintaining a smooth, constant run. And then you've got the surfing action from behind from the waves. And I mean, we've got 15 knots now, and we're doing up to 8 knots, just gliding. It's so much easier, so much more comfortable on the cruise, especially on long passages. It's a young booby, young gannet. He's still got his brown feathers. Little sterickie, little turn. Getting towards land when you start seeing birds. Little skipjacks. Comes another 2. Powering in the swell. Incredible how they swim. They're so agile and quick. Gonna get something in the back line soon. There's Ian's first attempt on a pot bread in ages. It came out freaking awesome. Looking good. Yeah, it's been hell of a slow the last couple of days. Wind's dropped off. You can hear the motors going. Sunset on day 22. Day 22. It's been real slow. Really slow. Doing 6 knots, 5 knots, 7 at best, and motoring at night. We should arrive in a day and a half's time, so 2 days, less than 2 days to Fernando. But pretty. All the monkeys in one spot. It's cool out here. Don't stop the boat! I get lost interest now. So 2 days out from Fernando, it's hot and it's blowing. We got a good 20 knots. teaser skipping merrily. We missed a little blue marlin last night on dark. Just before we were sitting down to supper, we had one come up, bashed the teaser a few times, actually took the small lure and hooked up for a while and then jumped off. So not too much luck, but just as well because it was dark, although we had a really nice moon. It's full moon tonight. But yeah, I didn't feel like fighting a marlin until whatever time in the night, you know, not able to see the line and stuff like that. So yeah, nice to see one. I'm sure that we're going to see something in today or tomorrow coming into Fernando. Hopefully we keep the speed because then we'll get in daylight hours. If it slows down, which is probably more likely, we're going to end up coming in the dark, which is not great. There's lots of little unlit boats and buoys. We've got to anchor, so yeah, we'll cross that bridge tomorrow. We had a marlin. I saw a marlin on the echo sounder yesterday with all those flying fish around the boat and the tuna, and we saw this big mark on the echo sounder, and all of a sudden the tuna just vanished, and that was it. So yeah, they followed us until they got scared off by the longnose. So even though we were out in the blues, which is very difficult to, you know, you don't really get, there's no structure out there, there's no bait generally. We raised three white marlin on the trip so far, and missed a small blue and released a blue. So yeah, a little bit of action, even though it's not expected in those areas. The same little skimmer Williamson lure that I've had for years, that we caught all the sailfish, and you can see them, you can see the ball marks on the head there. We caught a lot of sailfish, and it's caught a marlin. And yeah, I've had this for absolute years. It's just got a single hook on it, single rig on it, and yeah, it's been a little champion lure over the years. Yeah, I'm running a 120-pound leader, just an extended leader, probably 6-7 meters, and then I've got 300-pound, which is super light, and I'm running really small clips. I was actually amazed the little clips held when we leaded that marlin the other day. I did take it very gently because I've got very light gear here. That's not really what you would go after marlin with. This is more sailfish gear. So yeah, it's you've got to be a little bit more careful when leadering the fish if you want to get a release on them. 25 days, no ships, no nothing. So the potatoes are getting a bit long in the tooth as well, so going to be doing a potato bake, just chopping some onions, I've peeled some potatoes, going to be putting some garlic, some cheese, some parmesan, going to make a little white sauce to cover it with, or to throw into the mix, and then covering it with cheese and stick it in the oven. We'll check how it comes out.
Okay, so this is Trevor. We think that he's actually in the wrong business because this is what he actually really does well. Check it out. Styling. And the byproduct though is that we're all getting too dick. We're going to be like the Michelin men when we get off this boat.
Right? It's going to be a lot of work when we get back home. Yeah, listen, this is actually the first time I'm actually doing this, so it's more to keep yourself busy because these freaking trips are so tedious. It's not funny. So you need something to keep you busy, and I'm happy to come and do this for 3 hours.
Check it out.
Yeah.
Styling.
White sauce, baby, coming up. All the ingredients are inside. Just the cheese to come. That's the finished before cooking. So with the potato bake flattened, finally the contours of Fernando coming into view. That's the bank, just this side of Fernando. 9:54 night. Just seen our first ship in 25 days. Yeah, 25 days later. But some winds just come up. You can just see it to the left of the sail there. You probably won't be able to see it, but we can spot Fernando de Norohna. Lures skipping at the back. Been bloody quiet. We've seen bugger all the last 2-3 days. So yeah, we hanging for some fish. Fernando welcome rainbow. A half job. Bit of a squall. Fernando just before dark. See the Sugarloaf. Not always great coming into moorings like this in the dark. Yeah, boat sitting again. Like other guys have gone ashore to go and get diesel. It's not that big a Zodiac, and 4 guys on there plus another 4 cans of fuel. It's a bit much, so I'm staying to look after the boat, check it doesn't drift away. Beautiful island. There's a big swell running. The guys at Hassel's getting the Zodiac off the boat this morning and getting the motor loaded. But yeah, it's a pretty sight, pretty setting. But spinner dolphins jumping all over the place. Lots more boats than when I was here 12 years ago. I was here 12 years last with the original Nexus 1. You can see the dolphins jumping there, just splashing. I don't know if you'll see it on the camera. Lots more boats than when we were here last. Pretty little Sugarloafs. See the dolphins jumping there. This big cave sounds like a whale breathing. There's a big swell running. Let's see if you can hear it. Bunch of frigate birds here on some little tuna and that. Yeah, look at them smashing below the frigate birds there. I'd like to throw a caster lure, but I don't know what the fishing regulations are here, so rather not. Tuna boiling here. Looks like tuna, not quite sure. Look at that, yeah, little tuna. Just saw them now. Searching every which and every way, looking for a wave. Beautiful water, little beach, pretty much closed out, so a little right in the corner over there, and there's one on the other side. Watch this one now. Look there. Yoo-hoo! Yo! Fast! We don't see anybody surfing in the area, so yeah, I don't know. They've got to have a surf break somewhere, because you haven't seen anybody surfing in these beach breaks. Wayne paddling into the corner here. There's a little right there, but it looks pretty fat, like peaky, very bumpy. Got a bit of a rip there as well. Hanging off the back line, waiting for Wayne. Battling to get waves here. These island waves freaking jack up so steep. They're coming out of 1,000 meters just over the hill there. So if you're not used to surfing these waves, it's pretty daunting because they jack up so steep. There's a bit of a left braking over there, but it's super fast. Let's see if I can get that left in frame just now. Gotta wait for a set. You can see it there. A little bit of a left, it's really quick now. Comes a big set. We'll take that left brake behind me. What's it braking there? Woohoo! Straight hander. Oh, looks like Wayne got one. Got some.
Okay, so here we got Hansen scratching, not scratching, but here we are in Fernando on a little like beach break here. It's got a little bit of a wedgie section, so we're just trying to get some waves. 28-degree water, tropical island paradise, just epic.
The view from on the top of the point looking back. We're actually looking at a big surf break over here the other day. There's a good left on the other side of this rock here, but nobody was surfing, so hard to know whether it was actually surfable. It looked surfable. Really pretty. So make sure you join us next week as we finish a quick tour of Fernando and then kick off on our last leg headed for Grenada. Make sure you catch us then. Thanks for watching. Ciao for now.